On April 16th, Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga and Joe Biden issued a joint statement after their meeting at the White House, emphasizing that the U.S. Japan relationship is strong and unchanged, and that they will work together to confront the challenges posed by the Chinese Communist Party in the South and East China Seas. Both sides indicate that stability and peace in the Taiwan Strait are very important. This is the first time since 1969 that the U.S. and Japan have referred to Taiwan in a joint statement, which has attracted particular international attention. It is widely believed that if there is an emergency in the Taiwan Strait, both the U.S. and Japan will intervene. The U.S.-Japan joint statement emphatically indicates a new alliance relationship between the two countries. President Joseph R. Biden is honored to welcome Prime Minister Suga Yoshihide for the first foreign leader visit of his presidency. Today, the United States and Japan renew an alliance that has become a cornerstone of peace and security in the Indo-Pacific region and around the world. The statement continued, "In celebration of our long-standing and close bonds, President Biden and Prime Minister Suga recommit themselves to an indelible alliance, to a rules-based approach to regional and global order founded on universal values and common principles, and to cooperation with all those who share in these objectives. The United States and Japan will remake these commitments for a new era." These strong statements suggest that the nature of the relationship between the United States and Japan is not what it had been before. This statement can be seen as an authorization Biden gives to Suga Yoshihide, allowing Japan to develop in full gear. The U.S. has not only given the green light for the next step in Japan's military development, but will do its utmost to help and aid Japan to upgrade to the leading position in Asia. As specified in the statement, Japan resolved to bolster its own national defense capabilities to further strengthen the alliance and regional security. The United States restated its unwavering support for Japan's defense under the U.S.-Japan Treaty of Mutual Cooperation and Security, using its full range of capabilities, including nuclear. The statement also said U.S. and Japan will collaborate to enhance our country's competitiveness, individually and together, by deepening cooperation in research and technology development in life sciences and biotechnology, artificial intelligence, quantum information sciences, and civil space. According to the Nikkei report, the two leaders have agreed to jointly invest $4.5 billion for the development of next-generation communication known as 6G or beyond 5G. According to the Wall Street Journal, the U.S., Japan, and Taiwan are going to create a semiconductor alliance to become the main locomotive of the future global high-tech industry, dominating the next generation of communication networks, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, and defense weapons industries. These combined efforts with allies are made to counter the growing threat posed by the Chinese Communist Party to its Asian neighborhood and the world. On April 21st, the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee passed nearly unanimously the Strategic Competition Act of 2021, a major piece of U.S. legislation to counter Beijing's threat. The bill stresses the need to prioritize the military investments necessary to achieve United States political objectives in the Indo-Pacific. It backs steep increases in security-related funding for the region and closer ties with Taiwan. China's frequent military exercises in Taiwan waters this year have led to increased tensions in the Taiwan Strait and have directly involved the U.S.-Japan alliance in a maritime military showdown with China. Recently, the CCP military has continued to intrude into the waters of the Senkaku Islands with aircrafts and ships, as well as the activities of the Liaoning aircraft carrier in the waters of Miyako Island, making Japan threatened. Japan has dispatched destroyers to collect information and monitor the Chinese carriers. At present, Japan's active cooperation with the United States in defending the Taiwan Strait has become a task to maintain peace, security, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. Japan has realized that the CCP's threat to Taiwan is a substantial threat to Japan as well. Taiwan is Japan's GeoSecurity Lifeline, which is a shield to the Okinawa and Ryukyu Islands. Taiwan is quite close to Japan's Okinawa Islands, and the waters between the main island of Okinawa and Miyako Island are an important waterway for CCP warships to travel through to enter the Pacific Ocean. Therefore, the strategic location of Okinawa is quite important, and once Taiwan falls into the hands of the CCP, then Okinawa will become the next target for the CCP to seize. In fact, In recent years, the CCP has been supporting and instigating Okinawa independence, trying to divide Japan and create civil unrest in the country. At the same time, the CCP may also want to imitate the model of Russia's annexation of Crimea and arrange a referendum in Okinawa so that Okinawa will voluntarily accept the CCP's ruling and military presence. Moreover, there are U.S. military bases in Okinawa. If Okinawa becomes independent and the U.S. military is expelled and replaced by the CCP army, then the important air routes and airspace in the Western Pacific region will fall into the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. By then, the entire Japan, South Korea, and even the Philippines, Indonesia, Australia, Guam, and Hawaii will be within the radius of the CCP threat. Therefore, to preserve Taiwan is the only way to preserve Okinawa, and to preserve Okinawa is the only way to preserve Japan. In addition to its defensive importance to southwestern Japan, the Taiwan Strait has become one of Japan's economic arteries as an important international waterway connecting Northeast Asia and Southeast Asia. Before the outbreak of COVID-19, an average of 600 to 800 cargo ships passed through the Taiwan Strait every day, heading for China, South Korea, and Japan. The crude oil imported by Japan from the Middle East also has to cross the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea, then pass through the Taiwan Strait or the Luzon Strait before finally being sent to Japan. According to a poll in Japan, nearly 70% of the Japanese people agree that Japan should send troops to defend Taiwan in the event of an invasion from China. Japanese Defense Minister Nobuo Kishi recently made his first public statement that if a conflict occurs in the Taiwan Strait, Japan's self-defense forces will be deployed to assist U.S. forces and intervene in Taiwan Strait affairs. Nobuo Kishi also recently made a special trip to Yonaguni Island, the Japanese island closest to Taiwan, for inspection, to demonstrate Japan's concern for Taiwan's national defense. In the U.S. Japan joint statement, it was also said that the United States and Japan are committed to enhancing deterrence and response capabilities in line with the increasing challenging security environment, to deepening defense cooperation across all domains, including cyber and space, and to bolstering extended deterrence. In response, on April 19th, Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Katsushin Kato confirmed that Japan will continue to discuss the issue of enemy base attack capabilities, which was started at a cabinet meeting late last year, to increase the ability to counterattack and strengthen deterrence by increasing the means to strike enemy military bases. As the CCP threat grows, Japan believes that if multiple missiles come at the same time, Japan's current defense system will not be able to respond, so it must consider having the ability to counterattack and avoid being attacked. Specifically, Japan wants to have its own cruise missiles and so on, and there is a need for large-scale military development. This is a further clear statement made by Japan after the U.S. Japan summit. If Taiwan is attacked by force, according to the Taiwan Relations Act, the U.S. will assist in Taiwan's defense and counterattack against the CCP invasion. The Japan News analyzed three main types of actions that the Japan self-defense forces would take in such a scenario. First, if it is deemed to be a state of significant influence under the Security Assurance Act. In other words, if you leave it alone, it may further evolve into an incident that affects Japan's peace and security. In this case, the Japanese self-defense force can, in accordance with the provisions of these bills, undertake operations such as providing logistical supplies for the U.S. military. Second, if the situation deteriorates further, there is a survival situation. In other words, if there is a substantial threat to the survival of Japan, or if there is a clear and fundamental danger of subverting the lives and rights of the citizens, then the SCF will use its right to self-defense. For example, if U.S. forces are attacked, then Japan will deploy forces to counterattack. Third, when the Japanese mainland, including the U.S. military base in Japan, is attacked by force, the Japanese government can consider the situation as an armed attack situation due to an imminent danger. The Japanese self-defense forces can use this as a basis to launch a military counterattack. According to the Japan News, the United States, Japan, and Australia will cooperate in laying new submarine cables in the Pacific. Submarine cable equipment is an important infrastructure for safety and security. This cooperation will strengthen the global digital infrastructure, share information about the movement of the Chinese Communist Party, and check and balance the rapidly expanding CCP strength in this critical area.